Welcome to 247 Real Talk. I'm your host, Julian Perry, and this is an absolute pleasure to be here with you for my last podcast episode of 2025. And what a year it's been. At first, I was thinking this episode would be a year in review, but I've decided this episode, by the time you hear it, when it airs, will be January 2nd, 2026. And I think we need to start the year off in a call to action. So sit back, relax, and I'll be right back. So welcome back to the last episode. It's probably around 289th or something like that of the entire lifetime of the 247 Real Talk podcast. I got a lot of flack from multiple of you, my listeners, last week because there was no episode. But that's the first time I took off and didn't put a fill-in episode since I started this podcast 5 years ago. And I felt that I needed a day, the way the holiday fell, and Christmas was Christmas Eve was Wednesday, and that's the night I usually record. I decided that I was going to take a break, just one day for myself, and I apologize to all of my listeners who felt upset, betrayed, who complained that I messed up their usual routine. Again, please accept my heartfelt apology. I just needed to take that break and needed not to be in the studio putting a plug in for that day. But here we are at the end of 2025, the beginning of 2026. First and foremost, I'm going to thank every single one of my listeners. I'm sending you out a thank you. I'm sending you out a voice of appreciation, feelings of appreciation, heartfelt. Doing this podcast is not easy. There's some weeks I get tons of downloads and some weeks I only get a few. And being encouraged to continue going on, especially during this year when I was at a really hard place where I was thinking of pivoting and not continuing on, and then deciding to continue on and going in a whole new direction, and then getting some pushback from people who felt that I had gone into a church when I was only, and I still continue to offer my message based on my beliefs, my spirituality, but not asking you to adhere to what I believe in. Just letting you know what drives my perspective, my point of view, my compassion, and everything I feel for everyone, no matter who you are. 2025 was a rough year for everyone. Economically, politically, health-wise. Every one of those areas you look into, something happened, something painful. For me personally, it was a hard year. When we last spoke, I had lost 4 close friends in a year. That was unprecedented. And it's unfortunate to say that December 28th, which was a Sunday night, I lost a 5th childhood friend. So 5 in 1 year. I can't wait for this year to be over. And I can't wait for the new year to offer new promises and a break. Understanding that life is finite. But when you get them all at you at one time, it makes you reflect on so many things. And what it did for me, and I'm hoping I can pass on to you, is the urgency at which we have to accept the call to action. Whatever it is you believe in, it doesn't have to be what I believe in, but whatever you decide is you have to pick something in your life, and whatever is most important to you, you have to pursue it. Some of you may be careers. Some of you may be a career even in a field that gives back to the public. Some of you may be doing better for your family. Some of you may be doing better in your relationship with your children, your spouses, your parents. All of these things are part of this tapestry that we call life. And for those of you who have felt the brunt of the changes in our economy, our political system, 2026 is an election year. I'm not talking about who is Democrat, who is independent, who is Republican. I'm talking about every single one of you to stand up for what you believe in, have humane, respectful conversations and debates, Try to sway whatever mind you can, but in a respectful way. Always put in the dignity and safety and love first. And come November 2026, no matter what the weather is, no matter what your aches and pains are, no matter what your transportation difficulties are, it is so crystal clear that your vote and your voice counts. I remember seeing elections across the country in various places, and I can't remember the specific numbers, so I'm going to use made up numbers to bring across the point. Where, let's say there were 2 million voters counted in the census, and it was a critical year. 2 million voters could vote, and 400,000 people voted. What happened to the other 1.6 million? I've come across so many people who say, I'm not going to vote. My vote doesn't matter. Yes, it does. It's painfully obvious that it does. If you believe in something, if you believe that something's being done right and you want to continue, if you believe in something's being done wrong and you want it to change, this is the right you get as a citizen and as a human being to make your voice heard. But beyond that, no matter who we believe in, no matter what we're doing, we're living this thing called life. There's so many people in need so many places. There are people hurting in medical conditions where we have expertise in the medical field who, yes, you're tired. Yes, it's been rough. But if you have the opportunity to give back, then do so. I have something called the Perry Foundation that I created in my mother's name when she passed. And it's sort of been, I did one small fundraiser, it's sort of been lying dormant. But one of the things I'm gearing up to as I look towards retirement is re-energizing it. I want to start with simple things like Christmas days and certain days of the year, doing a fundraising or a collection all through the year. So even if it's raw goods, canned goods or whatever, that can be cooked in my household, or we can get someone to give a space in the commercial kitchen for one day, and choose year after year, place and people to feed hungry people. Now you might say, well, why just Christmas or a specific day? Because I have to start somewhere. The church I belong to feeds people every single Wednesday of every single week and has done so for years. So I will be adding to the efforts already out there and then expanding my efforts. There are people in need of medical help, medical bills that can't be paid, institutions that have the quality of doctors but don't accept certain health care, and so I can't go there. So because of that, I can't live. There are people out there that need help getting from one place to the other. There are people out there that need donations so they can move around, whether it be a walker or a wheelchair. I want to hear the needs of people. I can't solve the world's problems. I can't even solve all the problems in my immediate community. But one drop of water in a bucket means the bucket is no longer empty. It is easy for us to look at our challenges and just go along our days so preoccupied. And don't get me wrong, arguably, you're preoccupied to a point where you're overwhelmed and you're full. I have been there. But I've also found out that giving changes so many things. I didn't think that when I was to my capacity, I could take on another role. And I'm doing so. For many of you who follow multiple of my channels, you know that I have been a writer on The Gadgeteer, the-gadgeteer.com for 10 years, for a decade. And as of this past week, I resigned. It changed ownership, and I resigned. I resigned because everything around me said it was time for me to branch out on my own and create my own, I'm sorry, my allergies are bothering me, create my own entrepreneurship, let's call it that, my own business. I registered my business, and I'm going forward now and starting in the same niche, but in different products, to bring honest reviews to people so that when you go out there and you spend your dollar, you've had someone that said, I've kicked this thing all the way around and it's okay to spend, or don't buy this one. I also do mods, and again, I don't want to occupy this conversation with that. But if you ever want, go to 247, the number 247, tech, T-E-C-H, talk, T-L-K.com. You'll get links to my website, to my YouTube channel. If technology interests you, go there. My point is, I will use that business as a way not only to additionally provide for my family, but as a way to raise income so I can divert some of the income to charitable causes. And I'm tired. I do this podcast 9 to 5 job, no, probably 8 to 7 jobs sometimes, 2 young kids, family, house, elderly parent, children that are involved in all sorts of sports and martial arts, 2 knee surgeries, and there's more I can add, and yet it's not enough. You know why it's not enough? Because God gave me life. And there's so many people out there taking life, squeezing the life of others, hating each other because of the color of their skin, because of their gender, sexual orientation, because of their political ideology. When did hate become such a tool? Probably throughout lifetime. But we can pass these things on to the next generation, or we can try to make a difference. Not change the world, but even if we change one person at a time, believe me, it matters. That one person may have the opportunity to give kindness to someone else where it changes their entire life. So this is 247 Tech Talk's call to action. Stand up, rise up. For those of you who walk the same fence I do, then we know that prayer is part of what we believe in. For those who don't, but you're kind and loving people and you want to do the right thing, do whatever it does to energize you, to get you shaking with energy, to get you understanding that no matter what our difference is, we can be all united to make the same difference and the same changes that benefit not only people way beyond our numbers, but generations to come. Sitting around watching time go by, the world go by, and watching people drop dead is not why we're here. A wasted life cannot be relived. It is time for a change. It is time for real talk. It is time to stand up and be counted. It is time to say, I am tired, I'm weary, I'm beaten, I'm down, but show me what else I can do. And if you seek a way to make a change, you will find a way to make a change. Again, I am so humbled by so many of you this year who not only supported me, downloaded the episodes. Again, this is not like my other channels. This is not a monetized channel. So everything you see and everything I've ever done has come out of my pocket. Yet I'm appreciative to every single one of you, because whether or not you understand it, you've made a difference in my life. I hope that I've made a difference in yours. So this is your call to action. Stand up, rise up, be counted. Understand that you are here for a reason and a purpose. For me, I understand who I am and whose I am. For you, if you don't share those ideologies, doesn't mean we're not brother and sister. Doesn't mean we can't stand united. Doesn't mean we can't stand for the same cause, make the same difference, so that we make an impact in lives that are struggling to survive because they lack a voice. Be a voice. Be real talk in a time when it's so very much needed. Until the next time, take care of yourselves and each other. And this is 247 Real Talk, wishing you a healthy, happy, prosperous, and motivated to make a difference 2026. For 2025, this is 247 Real Talk. Out.